Okay, good morning, everybody. Playing some blue-white stoneblade today. We played some of this deck a couple weeks ago, and we did pretty well last time. But I think that I made a mistake. I was only playing 2 Solitudes at the time, and just like the last few weeks, Solitude has emerged as just such a freaking powerhouse in the format. So I'm up to 4 at the moment. Thank you for the chest open, Ghost. I think I'm gonna skip it. And just jump into it. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Ghost. Good morning, Bata. Good morning, Thunder. You're playing Esper Sentinel yet? This deck isn't Esper. Curious. I should play the, I guess I have Polluted Delta in the deck, but I should play, Watergrave over Steam Vents so that I can call the deck Esper. Shearing, 13 months. Thank you so much. Is Solitude the best card besides Luris? I don't know. I think people get like pretty wrapped up in like what the best card in the format is, and that can be helpful in determining your deck selection. But I will say that Solitude has definitely been the card that's picked up the most stock in the last few weeks. This card has kind of solidified itself as a staple of like these blue-white decks, just kind of a staple in Modern in general. And you know, you're definitely really incentivized to play it, but I don't think you should get like super duper caught up in what is or isn't the best deck, because it's all just so arbitrary and contextual. So we're playing against Kihira on turn 1. Kihira has meant blue-white control more often than it's meant elementals lately. If this is elementals, this hand is garbage, but if it's control, then double Sentinel into play should be pretty strong. Try him on turn 1. Could be either deck. Oh, yikes. Big yikes. So yeah, it's just like, yeah, just being like good cheap interaction or cheap interaction early, and then instant speed 2 for 1 at 5 mana in the late game is just really nice. What do you use 4 slots for Wildfire and the 2 Chalice matchup to enter? The Chalices are for Cascade matchups, Rhinos, and Living End. And I had 4 Wildfires. I'm not sure if you want Wildfire or Obsidian Charmal, but I have 4 in the sideboard because Tron is your worst matchup. And so I don't think you really have a chance to beat it if you don't play 4 sideboard cards. You can just choose to dodge it, but like it's really, really hard to beat without sideboard cards. Kane, thank you for the 4 months. Really start to hate the Solitude meta. Lost first 1 land over as much as Solitude and Ephemerate. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, just like anything else, it's always going to be, oh, they're going to Prismatic Ending and I get to draw 1? It's pretty good. I think it's always going to be like very metagame dependent, right? Where, you know, like the Solitudes have emerged in the metagame for a reason. Oh, man. Top of our library has not been very kind. Solitude has, you know, emerged into the metagame for a reason. Like, it's very good at suppressing the Hammer Time decks. It's, you know, surprisingly good against the Rhino strategies. It's good against the Elementals. You know, it also, like, in specifically blue-white control, Solitude plays really well with Memory Deluge, where you can, like, deluge into a 0-mana removal spell, which is pretty powerful. But I don't expect that the Solitude is going to stay the top dog in the format for very long. Like, there are like a decent chunk of decks that Solitude is not that strong against, and we might see the metagame shift a bit, right? Great draw, great draw. Hopefully they don't have Typhoon. I could just not attack to play around it. I think that's probably fine. Been pretty underwhelmed by Prelate. What's your reason by continuing to play it? I haven't been underwhelmed by Prelate, I guess I'll say. I did trim 1 copy. It's gonna be kind of bad to draw multiples, but I feel like I've liked the Sanctum Prelate, so I guess our experiences are different. Alright, I'm gonna try to draw 2 here. But like, Prelate's really is great. It's good against Hammer Time. It's good against Rhinos. It's fine against Control. It's good against the Ragavan decks. I feel like I've been pretty happy with the card. If you're playing a combo, no creatures to make Solitude bad. Blue-white control is bad, or Solitude is bad against blue-white control. I mean, it has some targets, but it's not good card against them. It's not good against Tron. It's fine against burn, but like decks like burn, like that just have lots of cheap I guess I would say it's good against burn actually. All right, they gain control of my Esper Sentinel. Interesting. But now I get to bounce it back to my hand to replay it. But yeah, big mana, but I guess not Titan so much. Maybe Solitude is just like broken, I don't know. The more I'm thinking about it, the more it kind of seems like there's not that many decks it's not good against. It's not good against control, it's not good against combo, it's not good against Tron. Those are the big three. Oh, it's not good against, I mean, living in this combo, I suppose. They're letting me draw a card? I'm kind of surprised by that. So they must have Chalice. I can't Kaldra here. I can Ending the Chalice for 2 mana. Cast the Sentinel. I think I'll just cast Batterskull instead. Am I playing Forces? Yeah, I have 2 Force of Negation in the deck. Seen Spreading Seas popping up randomly in some deck lists where every card seems to matter and pick the board. It seems kind of slow, just 2 mana draw one sometimes. Well, Spreading Seas is an answer to Urza Saga, which is somewhat important in this metagame. Spreading Seas is also. Alright, speak of the Solitude. I'm trying to think if I'm going to Kaldra, kill Teferi here. Let's just see what we draw. Drew our own Solitude. Okay. I guess we're gonna Solitude there, Solitude. But yeah, Spreading Seas has been, you know, it's kind of a versatile card. It works with Teferi. You get to draw an extra card. There's a lot of utility lands in these deck lists. There's a lot of, like, Elementals plays Utopia Sprawl. Jund Saga is very soft to Spreading Seas. The card is just surprisingly versatile and lines up well against a lot of, like, the problematic cards for this deck. Yeah, we can Spreading Seas the castle in these matchups. The card's been pretty good. I've also kind of always really liked Spreading Seas in Stoneblade. This is not, you know, a super new thing where Spreading Seas slows your opponent down a lot, and then their mana's awkward and they're stumbling, and you get to play Stoneforge Mystic, and then if they kill it, you know, they're like, if they're playing a deck where their removal spells are off color, and you can Spreading Seas, like their removal spell might take up their whole turn. I've always been a fan of Spreading Seas in Stoneblade. Yeah, Spreading Seas the Triumph, yeah, does like just protect this from Teferi for probably the rest of the game. I could equip Batterskull onto Solitude here to play around Shark Typhoon. It's 5 mana to equip, and then I can hold up Counterspell. Let's do that. And then if they do have Typhoon and they chump block, I think I'll just Spreading Seas the Triumph to protect the Teferi. Yeah, not yet. Now we also have double lifelink. We think of Hallowed Moonlight as a sideboard option and Phoenix for dealing 3 animator Yogg combo half of Rhinos. I don't know. I mean, I'm playing Leyline of the Void in the sideboard, which I think is gonna like be generally better. Just and also holding up 2 mana in Modern is really difficult, especially in the Phoenix deck that taps out so often. Okay, they do have a second non-blue-white source, which is very key for them here. Good deck tech for Herney. Grixis Luris by Yama. So I know that there's like a lot of like dissension with these deck lists. Like people are really opinionated, and I'm no different. Like one thing is I really don't like the Dreadbore in this deck. When you have access to 3 Unholy Heat, I would play the second Terminate over the first Dreadbore basically every single time. I also don't really like these Inquisitions very much. It's like especially in this metagame where blue-white control is the best deck and your Inquisition can't take their Teferi hero. There's not a ton of burn in the format. There are some, but there's not a ton. I don't really like the Inquisitions that much. I don't think I would play any of them. I would probably be on maybe like 2 Thoughtseize if I was going to play any discard spells at all. Let's see. Solitude got bounced. But I would probably play 0 discard spells. And I would play the 4th Dragon Rage's Channeler. I think Channeler is insane in this deck. I would play it definitely over like the 3rd discard spell. I also think that in this version that doesn't play the card Counterspell, Kroxa is a card that I really want to see in the deck as well. So maybe what I would do is go -3 Inquisition, +1 Channeler, +2 Kroxa. You could cut the Cling for a Kroxa, but I like also this deck has 2 basic islands, and I guess the basic islands are so that you can justify having Counterspell on the sideboard, but like the islands also seem like really bad to have 2 in this mana base where like all of your blue cards cost more than 1 mana, so like the islands cast none of your 1 mana spells. They don't cast like your Terminates. Like, you know, I'm just not a fan of like having those in the deck, I suppose. Let's Kaldra here. So like I think that like these sideboard counterspells are costing you so much without really like, I feel like, giving you that much equity as a sideboard card. So I would try to move away from those, and I would try to you know, I figure out exactly what your matchup spread looks like beyond that. I'm not a big fan of the Painful Truths either. It's not terrible, but I think it's a little too cute. But those are, I guess, my general thoughts on the deck. But everybody's super opinionated about these like Grixis control lists. Do you like Oscoffee or Cold Brew? Yeah, I would say that I like both. Do you think Teferi Hero is mandatory included for blue-white control? Nothing's mandatory in Magic. Nothing's mandatory in Modern. Teferi, it's, you know, I think that, like, if you're not going to play Teferi Hero, you need to have a really good reason, and you need to have something that's replacing it as your card advantage engine. But you could theoretically play, like, 4 Deluge, 4 Typhoon, and be totally fine. Okay, so opponent is going to kill Teferi with Hull, and I guess attack me for 2. Do you have any more budget decks coming out soon? I'll probably do another one next week, maybe the week after. I'm trying to do like 1 a month, and I guess I can't remember when my Mono Black Luris one came out. Okay, so I guess I'll play the Sentinel. And then I can, if they haul, I can either chump block or I can Solitude pitching Prelate. I'll probably Solitude. I'm not sure. Is Jace costing 1 mana cheaper than Teferi? Justify Jace over Teferi. Teferi actually costs 1 mana less than Jace a lot of the time, where you get to spend 5 mana, but then you get 2 back with an instant rebate. So, like, I would also say that Memory Deluge is a better 4-mana card advantage spell in Modern than Jace the Mind Sculptor. Almost full stop. Almost, like, you know, with very few exceptions, it's going to be kind of hard for me to want to play Jace the Mind Sculptor over Memory Deluge. I like bouncing the Caesar Teferi and Solituding the Shark. You want to Solitude the Shark and not the Hall of the Storm Giants? Oh, you want to bounce the Spreading Seas on the Hall of the Storm Giants. I see, of course. Well, if we do that, if we bounce onto the Hall, then we, I don't know, isn't this, but no, this is better, right? This is better because, like, if they activate Hall, that's their entire turn. Their entire turn is activating this Hall, and then we get to untap with a million counter spells. Whereas if we Spreading Seas the Hall of the Storm Giants, then they have, you know, all of their mana to do something else besides, you know, this very, very mana-intensive Hall of the Storm Giants, right? Are there any budget options to play the Jund Sack list? Should I start with the Mono Black Luris? Yeah, the Jund Sack list is really hard to build budget, I think. Especially, you know, this is another good piece of advice for people looking to build budget decks in Modern is that you should be if you should be looking to play a 1 or 2 color deck. 3 color mana bases are really hard to build on a budget in Modern. The exception is probably control decks. You could probably build a control deck on a budget in Modern, but you have other expensive cards to worry about too. Alright, Prismatic Ending my Sentinel. Just let that go. Tomas, thank you so much for the 5-pack. It's really nice of you. Appreciate you. You're at 26, don't care about the Hall much. Well, I care about the Hall killing my Teferi. Can you find what Esper Animator with Solitude Grief? You think going down 2 Solitudes for 2 creatures would be worth? No, Solitude is... I was talking about this morning, but Solitude is just one of the best cards in Modern, period. Yeah, Solitude is just one of the best cards in Modern. You're really, really incentivized to be putting it in your decks right now. I'm not interested in playing less than 4. In this deck, I'm not interested in playing less than 4. In other decks like this, all right, I think let's go Sanctum Prelate. If we name 5, it's a bit awkward. The Batterskull. 4 stops Deluge and Verdict. Let's name 4. Thank you, Dave, for the 2 months. Did I miss the reason why Steam Vents? Prismatic Ending. You're going to see this a lot. Blue-white decks playing Steam Vents, Rogran Triumph, for Prismatic Ending. And then Steam Vents is usually the color of choice either for a red splash of the sideboard, for like Wear Tear, or like Fire Ice in the main deck. Or Steam Vents also has like a small equity against like specifically Yawgmoth, where if they have either Yavimaya or Urborg in play, and they do play both, you can Prismatic Ending X equals 4 off of Steam Vents, where if you play, you know, Polluted Delta or different, it's a little risky, but I think I'm going to counterspell this. If you play Polluted Delta, or if you play, Watery Grave, if you play Breeding Pool, you kind of lose some of that equity against Yavimaya or Urborg. And then... also against Mono Greentron, they play Yavimaya, and then you can Prismatic Ending Karn the Great Creator. Hey Kodo, how you doing? And this is something that I felt another reason why I like this blue-white Stoneblade deck, and it's not, you know, a huge deal, but I feel favored against blue-white control, which is a really good place to be. Dave, thank you for the Twitch Prime, appreciate ya. So I usually got the Maul for the Feast and Famine in this matchup, and then I want to bring in the blue cards. I think I'm cutting the Solitudes. And so it's like I'm kind of indecisive. I think I want 2 Spreading Seas. I think I want 2 or 3 Prismatic Endings. I want 1 or 0 Solitudes. I think I'll play 1 Solitude. But I've liked this matchup a lot. I felt pretty favored. 0 Prelate. I think Prelate's good against them. Or at least it's decent. Can this deck win in my LGS? I think this deck can win anywhere. I really like this deck. Although, I guess, you know, if your LGS is all... I'm not sure. I'm not sure that there are any, like, super bad matchups for this deck either. I feel like this deck is definitely built to have, like, you know, a lot of reasonable matchups, but... Boomer Jun is probably tough. Do you think this blue-white list is a more realistic Death and Taxes than just mono-white? Well... I don't know exactly what Death and Taxes necessarily means. Like, Death and Taxes I kind of feel like means any deck that plays Thalia, Garden of Thraben is a Death and Taxes deck. And it's like, this deck doesn't play Thalia. This deck is like pretty counterspell based for its interaction rather than being creature based for the interaction, although you do have Sentinel and Prelate. Yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily say that it's in exactly the same archetype as Death and Taxes. Dude, Sentinel is so good. It's so good. So I think I'm holding a mana here. Thank you, Mistgate. Is Sentinel and Thalia even a good place to be? Maybe. I think that in humans, I like that combo a lot. Let's not attack into Typhoon, actually. So they're missing their land drop. I think I want to draw 2 with Archmage's Charm. If I had 7 cards in my hand, I wouldn't do this because I'd have to go to discard. But I have 6, so... Sentinel probably should not have been a 1-drop. I don't know. We could obviously have like these kind of arguments all day, but in my opinion, Sentinel is a really important card in Modern, where it's like so important to slow down the Ragavan decks and kind of stop this like play draw disparity that I've been feeling against decks that play Ragavan. Esper Sentinel really helps to like fight that disparity, I think. So I think I want to play Stoneforge with Counterspell up this turn. And then I actually feel like countering back is pretty good, because if they play Teferi, their Teferi just dies to Kaldra. I can also get Sword of Feast and Famine. So if I get Kaldra, that means if they go Teferi plus, we can answer the Teferi. But Feast and Famine might just be better anyways. Conman, thank you for the 10 months. You play D&D at all? Yeah, I actually play D&D twice a week usually, although my group's been on a little bit of a break. But usually I play twice a week. I'm a bit hesitant to overcommit into Supreme Verdict. Also, putting the Sword of Feast and Famine on the Sentinel right now is a bit awkward against Archmage's Charm. What class you use? I mean, I play a lot of different classes. I've been playing for a while now. I've talked about my D&D characters a bunch, but I think I'm just going to focus on the game here. Ask me again later. Thoughts on this list versus the Thought Monitor artifact version. So generally, I think that the artifact version has it's higher variance, higher power level, and more vulnerable to sideboard cards. Where this deck is lower variance, lower power level, less vulnerable to sideboard cards, has more even matchups across the field. But you do lose out on a lot of these really powerful, nut draw potentials. Should we play Dovin's Veto? We are playing Dovin's Veto. Good thing here to play around Archmage's Charm. I'm going to attack only with Stoneforge Mystic to play around Solitude, I think. We can play Hall here. Looks like they do have the Solitude. No, Archmage's Charm. Yeah, that's a lot better for us. Played Esper Animated List for posted easy 5. Yeah, I think we're going to play more of that deck today. I just wanted to, like, dust this deck off for a little bit. What the next ban on ban's going to be? I mean, I still think that Lurrus does too much for too little investment. I'd like to see Lurrus banned in Modern, but also, I don't control the ban list. I don't really necessarily expect anything to happen anytime soon. I think the Just Guy Stoneblade list, the one the Saturday challenge. It's probably not how I would build it if I was going to build. So I mean, it is Just Guy Stoneblade, but it's really just Boros Stoneblade with a really, really light splash. A cool list for sure. But if I was going to build Boros Stoneblade, I feel like I'd be in on Esper Sentinel and Ragavan instead of Chalice of the Void, and I'd be playing Sanctum Prelate over Chalice to facilitate playing the really strong 1-drops. So that's just how I would do it. I obviously wouldn't fault anybody for building it this way. That I think it's totally fine. Think a bit more, I like spell quality more than the prelates, but I'm low on prelate. Yeah, we could just agree to disagree. I feel like the prelates have been really good for me. Yeah, main phase deluge definitely doesn't seem like a winning line for our opponent here. What you listen to? I always forget the name of the song. It's Super Riser. Can we just ban the companion aspect of Lurrus? I don't know. It would be who cares? I feel like, I mean, it's like Lurrus is broken because of companion, Dredge is Grave Troll is broken because of the dredge mechanic. I just don't know why we're trying to, you know, like just like the functional paper errata. I just am not too keen on. Okay, I guess we're gonna go ending on turn 1 here. Sentinel's really good in these matchups usually. Yeah, I used to think Bauble was a better ban than Lurrus, but and like Bauble's also one of the, you know, a really good enabler, definitely dangerous card to have in Modern. But it's also true that like if you ban Lurrus, all of a sudden Hammer Time is still a really good Lurrus deck that doesn't care about losing Bauble, and Hammer Time is just, I think, stays a little too strong and grindy. That's my concern with banning just Bauble. I don't think that anything needs to change anytime soon, but it's also true that cards like Gitaxian Probe, Faithless Looting, Once Upon a Time, like Lurrus reminds me of these cards so much, in that all of those cards, they just do too much. Arkham's Ashley is another good example. They just do too much for too little investment, and Lurrus does way too much for too little investment. For like for many decks, it requires no deck building like decisions besides a 15th sideboard slot, and requires like, you know, you playing cards like Mishra's Bauble, which you would already be playing anyways to go with your Dragon Rage's Channeler or whatever. And for like that low investment, you always have access to like this really powerful grindy engine that's going to be like a free 2 free 0 and in any game, and that you go to the late game. Why can't we read out of cards? Wizards used to do it all the time. I am not a fan of paper errata. I think paper errata is like, it's just, it feels like a dangerous game to play, where the more you do it, the more confusing the game gets, and like the less accessible it is to newer players. And I think it's just generally better to ban cards instead in paper, but I think having a different opinion on that is totally fine. But I think it just, like, you know, new players pick up a card, they read it, and then like someone has to like spend the time to explain to that player that, oh, this card doesn't actually do what this card says. It's been errated, you know. Like I think that it makes the paper game worse. So the revealed basic island, which means if they play that, our Teferi's living. I think I'm gonna counterspell that. I think our Teferi probably dies to a burn spell here, but we don't have another answer to the channeler. Yeah. It is kind of. I agree that it is weird for me to like to have this stance on functional errata, because like Companion does have errata. Like they already errated the whole mechanic. How does 22 lands feel? I feel like I always get burned by it. I honestly like. Do you feel like? I think 22 lands is the correct number for this deck. Like especially with the 4 Solitudes, like you have access to like these 5 mana spells to top deck, and like just a powerful 2 for one of these kind of games. But any deck is capable of getting a little mana flooded. I wouldn't be too worried about it. I meant to target this one, but it doesn't really matter, right? It's not red because reminder text doesn't count as text. I believe that is something that Wizards believes. Thoughts of Popper on a format? I don't really have any thoughts on it. I haven't enjoyed it in a long time. I used to play it some. I haven't played it in a while. Brutal. Alright, no creature here though. If we draw a land, we could just... maybe I shouldn't fetch, because drawing a land is not bad here. I could just hit them with Hall of the Storm Giants, put them to 7, and they can't kill my Hall here. So it has to be an untapped land. Prelate's good if it resolves. It's probably not resolving. Lurrus has a printing with correct text. I didn't know that. What's the printing? Is it like the list? I learned about the list recently, chat. Is it just who feels like Rhinos is a lot more dominant than a Lurrus decks? So in my opinion, like I feel like, yeah, Rhinos is definitely a tier 1 deck. It's not the best deck in the format. I think Blue-White Control's the best deck in the format, which also doesn't play Lurrus. But it's my opinion that Lurrus is still not a card I'd like to see in Modern forever or much longer, because it's not about it's not even, like, Lurrus being in decks is not, like, even, like, that big of a factor for the archetype, right? It just does too much for too little investment, right? It's a card that does too much for too little. You see it all over the place because it doesn't really have much of a deck building restriction in Modern. It's just a little too efficient. It's not like Hammer Time isn't a Lurrus deck in the sense that it's just like so built around it and it's like really focused on getting Lurrus into play. There are some decks that are more focused on Lurrus, like Jund Saga, Red Black, but the card just does too much for too little. Cognac, for 16 months. It's like when Gitaxian Probe was banned, like there were some decks that played Gitaxian Probe, like in fact played Gitaxian Probe, and you know, like they were like Storm played it, and there's like a Kiln Fiend deck. They weren't that common though, and they weren't that dominant. This probably doesn't resolve. But the problem with Probe is it did too much for too little. Arkham's Astrolabe did too much for too little. Faithless Looting did too much for too little. Once Upon a Time, Mystic Sanctuary. All of these cards were banned because they gave you too much value for too little investment. And Lurrus is just like absolutely the same thing. Okay, so do I haul the Storm Giants here? Or do I Kaldra? Kaldra is way better if I don't think they have another counterspell. They've already used 2. They have 5 cards in their hand, though. One of them is Ragavan. Ragavan fits the same mold. Yeah, I think you could make the same argument for Ragavan, but I would say that like Lurrus is a bit more egregious. I think I'm gonna haul. It's just so hard for them to deal with. Haul is better here. I mean, I think it's like Kaldra's like a lot better here if they don't have counterspell. Although they could have Archmage's Charm. How do you feel about Control being the best deck in a format such as Modern? I mean, it is the best deck. I see the Kappa. But I mean, it's also important to say like Blue-White Control is the best deck in Modern right now. It's only been the best deck for like 2 weeks, and I know people they hate Control decks. They're probably sick of it. Yeah, and then like Kaldra is way better against them Murktiding this turn. Alright, so we lose. Alright, so lost game 1. I'm going to bring in the Rest in Peace. Got the Force of Negation. I kind of waffle back on like the equipment I play in this matchup. I think that I usually go -1 Mystic, -1 Maul. And then I'm not a big fan of Spreading Seas here either. So I think we'll play the Typhoons. And then we can play like 1 Explosives, 1 Dovin's Veto, 1 Force. Force is kind of good with Stoneforge Mystic. I think on the draw I'll play Force. Always worry about equipment against Charm. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. The reason I noticed that when Control is the best deck of Modern, it usually resonates that the format is unhealthy. I don't know. I think it's like, it's so hard to have heuristics like that. Like, this archetype is the best deck in a format, that means the format's unhealthy. Especially when, like, Control has been the top dog for a week, 2 weeks maybe, and is, like, has a huge target on its head, and, like, I feel like I can already feel it falling out of favor. And like, it feels like Modern's kind of in this 2-week cycle where a deck emerges to be like the best deck, the deck to beat, and the metagame has been adjusting, and that's been happening like since Modern Horizons 2 has come out. The metagame has been adjusting like every week, every 2 weeks, and so in fact, I would say that a format is probably like way better off when like different archetypes are the best deck in a format every once in a while, rather than, you know, eventually a Control deck is the best deck. made Grixis list with the snaps, opened the full art Ragavan on the weekend, so now it's 3 snaps, 1 Ragavan. You might look into the Kiki core deck, because that deck also is like one of the few decks that plays just 1 Ragavan. How did I originally get into MTG? Well, just like everybody else, I just had, or everybody else who got into it before Arena, I just had a friend who played Magic and was like, hey, please play with me, and I'm like, I don't know, it sounds kind of nerdy to me. Please, it's so fun. And I was like, alright, I'll give it a try. And then, now I'm a content creator, I guess. The Batterskull here. Might be a trauma from Uro control. Yeah, that deck was, you know, definitely too good. But like, yeah, blue-white control is a super beatable deck. The deck, and I will say this, I can already feel it falling out of favor a little bit, just a little bit. I still think it's the top deck. But I feel like I've been playing decks that are good against it the last few days, and I've been kind of farming it a little bit. Curious why no attack there. Do not trade Esper Sentinel for Dragon Rage's Channeler. Like we just drew, you just saw a card here. Sentinel is so good in these first couple turns in this matchup. Never trade Sentinel for Channeler in these spots. Do not ever do it. And in fact, like I have opponents who make that trade a lot, and they straight up lose the game because they trade their Sentinel for my creature. The Sentinel is such a nightmare for them here. Unless you're at 1. Well, it's pretty hard to be at 1 in like this. Sorry, when I say here, I mean like the early game in this matchup is what I'm talking about. There are some spots that trade Sentinel for Channeler. And you do usually want to block a Ragavan, but against Sentinel, you like basically never make the block. But but also yes, there are situations to make the trade, but it's going to be hard to be at 1 life in the early game here. And like you could even consider not blocking Monkey if you have like Prismatic Ending in hand, but if they like, you should probably have ending the Monkey when you could have or something. It's all like a bit weird. Yeah, like Sentinel is one of the reasons why I actually like this matchup again. Whereas like I was playing like Esper Stone. I guess I had Esper Sentinel and Esper Stoneblade too back in the day. I don't know, but Sentinel is really good against them. Yeah, nothing too crazy like that, but yeah. I mean, just like everybody before Arena just like had somebody that they knew, and they got into Magic because of word of mouth, you know? Alright, so do you put back Solitude, or do you put back, I think I'd rather keep, I'd rather go Sentinel into Rest in Peace, so I don't want to, I don't want to, like, put back the, Force and then, like, have to pitch the Rest in Peace. Do you feel like you need to pump Sentinel's power in deck to make it worthwhile? No, Sentinel's just nuts. Sentinel's just so good. But if you can pump its power, it gets extra value if you're playing Thales, Lieutenant, or Maul the Skyclaves, or something like that. They feel about Boomer, Planeswalker, Jund in the current meta. I think it's, like, quietly a viable deck. I'm gonna attack. They have an answer to the Sentinel in play. If they dash Ragavan, I don't really care. Yeah, I think it's quietly a playable deck. Or maybe not so quietly. Reed has been just kind of actually doing very well with it on stream lately, right? Right on time. What are my thoughts on trading Sentinel for Darcy in the mid game while you're ahead? That is a very contextual trade. Reed could trophy with the draft deck. I mean, with nothing but the utmost respect for Reed, no, I don't think Reed could trophy with a draft deck. Like Reed, like I mean, I guess this is, you know, of course, this isn't disrespectful at all. Like the reason, like Reed has like cultivated the Jund list to be like good in the metagame. You know, he's built the deck to be like an actual like viable strategy. It's like the list is, I think, he wouldn't be playing a list if you feel like he just had no chance to win with it. How much of my time do I spend keeping up the meta versus brewing in my own head? I don't know what I don't know if there's a difference. Like a lot of my like brewing is just like tweaking existing deck lists for the metagame. And like a lot of like the more like traditional brews also kind of end up being like yeah, the more like traditional brews end up being like a lot of times cards that are not being played that are good in the metagame too. I feel like my opponent has a handful of Murktide Regents. And I am a little scared that I'm going to lose this game to a bunch of 7 mana 3/3 flyers. What's my ratio of decks I've played on stream versus decks I'm going to give this back to Block Ragavan. Versus decks I build tested. I would say that like for every 3 deck ideas I have, I end up like I try to build all of them, and then I would say 1 out of 3 of these deck ideas dies in the deck building phase where I'm trying to put it together and I realize that it's just not coming together and I abandon it. And then 2 out of 3 usually make it to like the play testing stage, and you know, I obviously spend time play testing them, and then 1 out of 3 makes it to the stream on average. So we've got 2 cards. Untapped land lets us haul the Storm Giants. If I had to quantify how much worse 4 path is worse than, I don't know. I don't know how to quantify that. It's worse though. It's a lot worse. All right, I don't know if they can beat Hall of the Storm Giants here. Like they actually can't kill it, and they like can't race it either with no Murktide, no Delirium for DRC. Mickey, 28 months. Yeah, looking forward to it, dude. I still need to look at those charts you sent me. My friend Mickey's been playing a lot of poker, and I asked him to send me some info on how to play for when I go to Vegas. How many become tier 1, tier 2 lists? Not very many. I mean, it kind of depends on like what you define as tier, but like, yeah, I mean, I'm not out here churning out a tier 1 deck every week. I do have a lot of good brews, a lot of decks that I think are strong, and a lot of decks I'm proud of. But Modern is such like a competitive and diverse and powerful format. It's like, you know, a lot of like this list is a list I've been working on for a while. I think nobody's playing Stoneblade. I think this deck is really good. I think it's very underrated. I think a lot of the cards here are like metagame calls, but I think this deck is very strong. But obviously Blue-White Stoneblade isn't like a crazy new brew or anything, and like I play these kinds of decks a lot. Yeah, Junsack really strong for sure. Yeah, 2-0. We need Control and then Murktide. 2 matchups I like with this deck. Yeah, Junsack, I really like that one for sure. Okay, mulligan this. One that has revealed Aluris. Okay, keep this and then put back the Maul. Prelate is usually good against Aluris decks. If my opponent plays... oh, it's Burn. Interesting. I was going to say, if my opponent plays... Sigarda's 8, I would force that on turn 1. We have a Solitude on top. Interesting. I think I have to shock in the Fountain here. Why not Old Border Prelate? Not that rich as a 1k Andy to afford Old Border Prelates. Okay, I think I'm gonna take 2 here. If my opponent has Eidolon, I really would much rather Solitude Eidolon. Was there more in MTGO? I'm just kidding. I don't know. I didn't choose the art. I have no idea how much they are. What about Pathways and Reanimator? Yeah, the mana base is tough, but like I think that you can't afford them. It's like you need white on 1, you need like blue-white on 2, you need black mana on 2 as well. It's just, I think it's just a bit bad. Wait, they let me draw a card? And then they don't kill the Sentinel. Okay. So now I'll Solitude the Goblin Guide, I think. They shock in the Foundry. Well, I'll Solitude before damage, rather. And if they have an Eidolon, good beats. Lava Spike. They're just letting me draw all the cards. What the hell is going on? Should I force this? I think I should force this, because I think them not paying might mean they have Eidolon. And then, like, forcing is just way better if they have Eidolon. And they let me draw all these cards, so it's like... Okay, yeah. That's fine. You got 1 card left. I've got 2 counterspells in hand. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm gonna decide what I'll play in Vegas. No, not yet. I don't have every card in Modern or anything, but I can build like most of the decks I play. And there's going to be an entire new set released before Vegas. The next Innistrad set is going to be released before Vegas, so like there's like a decent chance I'll end up wanting to play with one of the new cards, right? Because I feel like that'd be a lot of fun. What do you think of the 4-color Yorion piles? I like them. Yorion decks are really good right now. I would recommend getting into them if you like them. Let me draw this time. Okay, they actually pay this time. Let me go ahead and use Charm to counterspell, I think. Your sponsor with them, and Savannah could work out a card with them. I guess. I'm not that worried about it. I have a lot of friends who like have Magic cards, you know, and it's like I'm not worried about card availability. They let me draw another card? Okay, they skewer me down to 3. Do I play the Batterskull and die to a burn spell? Probably not. Yeah, I might play the Jund sack deck. We'll see. Yeah, I'm not worried about card availability for the tournament. It's pretty interesting. Can Spreading Seize them off of white mana here with Counterspell up and Force. Is K command ever better than Charm? It's way better than Charm when your opponent's with 2 life and they're tapped out and have no cards in hand. I think I'm gonna Solitude end the turn with Force up if I don't do anything else. What paper decks do I have? I have a lot of paper decks, or like the ability to build a lot of paper decks. I right now I have like Grixis Shadow sleeved up, and I've been intending to sleeve up like Mono Green Eldrazi and like a Ephemerate pile, and oh, there's another deck I wanted to sleeve up. I was just trying to think like what decks I could have built all at the same time. But I could build like, you know, most decks in Modern, or most like not most decks, most like kind of fair mid-range control piles, like the decks I play most of the time. Those are, of course, the decks I, you know, enjoy the most. Last turn I died to Goblin Guide and a burn spell. I mean, I had Force of Negation, so I don't think that that's true. One of their cards was Lurrus. I'm not even sure that that was possible, though. Like, their last card is still Lurrus. Yeah, Sentinel is just so sick. Okay, I don't have a lot of sideboard cards for this matchup, but I also have found this matchup to be pretty good, as you saw there. Gotcha, Neil. Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of going off of like information I've been told too. I've been told that like the set's gonna be released, but I'm not 100% sure. Let me bring in the third Force here, and I feel like I'm gonna cut the Maul of the Skyclaves. Maybe I'll cut Kaldra. I could also play Dovin's Veto. Veto's not too bad. Maybe like 1 Veto over the third Teferi on the draw. Oh, grab the the Teferi again. We can keep this. Alright, so let's see what's on top. If it's like Prismatic Ending or something like that, we don't need to worry about Eidolon so much. It's a Sentinel. Alright, I think I should Solitude this. If I was on the play, I guess on the play it's an even easier decision because I can counterspell Eidolon. But if they don't have Eidolon here, like this game's gonna be pretty easy, hopefully. They let me draw a card. Suspend the Rift Bolt. Alright, let's hold up the counterspell here. I'm not shump blocking Suspiria, so I'll get in for one. They played a burn spell, you need to counter with counterspell or counter. Force creepers counterspell, you need to fetch for counterspell and die to Goblin Guide. Okay, I guess I don't know exactly what you're getting at, but it doesn't seem like a super relevant point, to be honest. But like we could have played around it, you know. We could have played around it if it had happened. Down to 13. Yeah, I think instead of shocking, which is kind of like letting them burn spell me, right? Just get a Prismatic Ending. Which is bad if they top deck Eidolon, I freely admit. The reason for Maul versus Fire Ice. Maul is really good with Esper Sentinel. It's good with Solitude because you can... Oh, they did. Dang it. Maul is good with... Solitude because you can, like, it's a tutorable white card to pitch. It's good with Esper Sentinel to buff the power. It's also like good on a Kaldra or a Batterskull, right? My opponent loves to let me draw cards. I'm gonna steal that Swift Spear probably. Pyro, 5 months, thank you so much. Stoneforge. Am I still high on Cephalid Constable? Not at the moment, I think. So we take 5 down to 8, and then we Stoneforge down to 6. It's a bad number to be at. Hold. We can, you know, draw a counterspell or Force or Solitude off of the Sentinel potentially. Alright, that probably locks it up. Just hold up Counterspell Charm here rather than put Kaldra in play. Permanents you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Let me see if they let me draw the card or not. I'd rather use Charm. Let's counter this. Okay. 3 and 0 with Stoneblade. Let's go. So Sylvan Messenger, that one? Okay, so we beat this matchup earlier. The Ragavan's looking pretty good against my hand, though. Too free for the bead. Let's go. Let's freaking go. And everybody say what your favorite card in chat is. Please. I mean, that's a dead Stoneforge Mystic if I've ever seen one. I think letting them use the mana like right now for burn spells probably not that good. Monkey. Sibian Spirit Guide or Ragavan? This is the worst time for a chant I've ever seen. I'm trying to see everybody's favorite cards. This is the worst chant time I've ever seen, mods. Now I'm anti-chant. I finally seen the issue. A Boreal Grazer, ban him. Get him out of here. Get them out of here. You're gonna bring a Boreal Grazer into my chat? I kind of want to counterspell this. Let's not, though. Not in this chat. No Boreal Grazers here. I just like, I don't know. Sometimes chat just tries to trigger me, I guess. Really get under my skin. They don't take my mental state into account at all. Don't think I'm supposed to counter that. Just like lets them use that 2 mana for counterspell so easily. They're kind of stumbling on mana, so making their mana awkward. Feels good here. They did draw a land. Thank you, Yawn. Yeah, we're gonna do the another one of those streams next Wednesday. We're gonna do what if Birthing Pod were unbanned. The Spell Pierce is so good in blue-red. Favorite card is Price of Progress. It's a good choice. A classy choice. Solitude is a pretty good card, huh? They have Delirium on the Channeler. Hits me down to 12. 3 cards in their hand. 2 spells in the graveyard for Murktide Regent. How did Twin Stream go? It was pretty fun. My blue-red list swept the events. Swept the event. Went 5 against Caleb. Caleb's Jeskai list went 2 and 3, I think. But I ended up going into the event thinking Twin would probably be fine and leaving the event thinking it'd be a little too good. I feel like the Batterskull is probably what we need to play here, but a bit scared of getting tempoed out. Although I guess they like, you know, they can't really attack that well here. Yeah. They got 2 cards in their hands. Knight the Reliquary followed closely by Siege Rhino. Open the Armory is a good choice. Fire Ice. Steamflogger Boss is a good one. Trade Wind Rider is a good one. Resto Angel is a really good one. Jackal-Pup good. Can you exile your own Solitude to gain 3 life? No, but you can exile another creature of yours. Okay, so they've got 2 cards. They attack for 8, put us down to 4. It's gonna be... We're gonna need to draw well here, of course. Ah, bummer. Okay, they've got 1 card left. I don't know exactly what we need here, like Teferi into something maybe. Definitely not Seachrome Coast. Actual worst draw, right? I mean, any land's about equally bad. Creature, instant, sorcery land. So I guess we're gonna steal this Channeler and chump block. And of course my opponent needs to have nothing. And then we need to draw something else. They haven't cast a counterspell this game though. So this is last time we played this matchup earlier this league. We did lose game 1, then end up winning the match. So what did I do there again? I ended up cutting the Spreading Seas, the second Force of Negation. What else did I do? Did I bring in 2 sharks? I might have played 1 Dovin's Veto. I think I played the first horse instead. I can't remember. You trimmed a Stoneforge? I did that against Burn. I think I did it here too. Cut the Maul on the Stoneforge. And I just played all 4 sharks. Is that right? I don't know, I'm blanking. Chalice seems good. Yeah, we should probably play the Chalice. Let's do this. Yeah, the matchup feels a lot better post-board with like the rest in pieces. But I think it's okay game one. Why just get Merc so underplayed? I feel like people like didn't figure. I don't think Merc type players know that like splashing white for ending is what they should be doing. If only someone would tell them. But I really like the white splash in Murktide. Why did you choose not to play Yorion in the stack? You could play Yorion in the stack. I think that... Should we? Seems pretty doable, to be honest. Alright, I'll consider it more. This is a pretty good one, huh? Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how I'd build it, but I've been liking the Yorion decks. Yorion's kind of nice with Kaldra, like with a Prismatic Ending your token, then you get to Yorion your Kaldra. No Esper Sentinel off the top. Okay, can pitch extra Rest in Peace to Solitude, I guess. I would really like to draw a land and Typhoon block the Channeler. Oh, they missed their land drop. Okay, cool. I'll miss my trigger. They put a Spell Pierce in their graveyard. No swords. I've got a I've equipped plenty of swords to sharks, but I've got a Feast and Famine in the sideboard. Alright, so hopefully this resolves. Not that big a deal if it doesn't, but if it resolves, it's, you know, like, they just can't kill it. And I think I grabbed Kaldra. No, let's get Batterskull. I think, like, them stealing the Germ token on Kaldra is a way for us to lose, but them stealing the Batterskull is a lot less of a problem. Brutal. They did put a card on top. A 1-mana Scry one. Not very good. Okay, still no third land for us, but we're pretty ahead. I guess, you know, it is a bit awkward if they do have the charm, right? If they do have the charm and we never draw the third lands, I feel like that's gotta be, like... I'm gonna put in the Batterskull. They have charm. Even if they have charm, it's like, we draw a land, you just bounce the skull. It's fine. They kept charm on top of land 3. I mean, probably. We can even just Solitude the Germ token. Still no third land. Probably gonna draw the one of the man lands here. That's a good hit for them. Ragavan into the exile zone from the Rest in Peace, from the Surveil. Okay, we've had 6 looks at a land. We have failed to hit one. This Chalice is just like a casual, like, 10 for 1, though. Yeah, Sentinel does pitch to Solitude. Already did that once. They surveilled Counterspell into the graveyard, which I'm kind of surprised about, because that's, like, a castable spell here, right? Did my MTGO premium expire? I don't think so. I think I'm still, you know, pretty ahead here. Alright, this is look number 9 out of lands. The second time we've cycled a Typhoon, we're on the play. Ding, 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 ding. Game over. Game over. I I think we're gonna card cast a Murktide. No? Okay. The lands keep coming and they don't stop coming. Like you surveil Counterspell because they have nothing in hand. I feel like I would just never surveil a Counterspell in the yard. It's like you have like... Counterspell is one of like maybe 10 cards in their deck that functions at this point in the game. It's just so much better than the average draw. Yeah, the White Splash and Murktide is just, yeah, this is definitely a good showcase of why I like it. I guess I should play the second Stoneforge. Also, I'm playing a Rush Rebirth with the Evoke Elementals. Okay, I don't know what that card does, but if you type in chat, !card, Rushed Rebirth, I'll read it. This is my promise to you. I will read the card. Yeah, I've looked at that. So like the idea behind Rush Rebirth, if you like evoke a Grief or Solitude, whatever, you get something. But like, what are you getting that's like so good to like have Rush Rebirth in your deck, and it's gonna be, which will be a pretty mediocre card, I feel, in most situations. I feel like we've had this conversation in the past. I don't know like what you're playing in your deck to make this work. Risen Reef? Maybe. You get okay, we're kind of talking about playing a Patriarch's Bidding. A Patriarch's Bidding version of Elementals, where you like evoke a lot of your Elementals, then you Patriarch's Bidding them back, and I mean, it's probably not that good. But there might be something that if there is a shelf for that, this is probably it. Sounds like living more worse. Yeah, for sure. I'm not like under any impression that there's really something here, but this is like another piece of the puzzle. They can't really attack because I can just get to gain life. Right, if I draw a land, I'll prelate on 2, then hold up Charm. Okay, drawing Counterspell, I'll just go Steal, hold up Counterspell.
What's up? It's me, your friend Inspiring Spike.
Cannon, thank you for the bits. Got a deck tech. All right. Hold on, sorry. I accidentally opened a live stream on my phone, so I'm making sure I don't like accidentally like a tweet about not playing Luris and Burn or something. Okay, so blue black rogue deck tech. Luris Voidwalker. So Voidwalker is kind of weird in rogues. It's obviously like, you know, it is a rogue, but it is a bit weird that, you know, you're exiling your opponent's graveyard in your Drowned in the Loch deck, in your Soaring Thought Thief Voidwalker deck. You do have, of course, control over like your opponent's graveyard, so it's not that big a deal, but it is something to be mindful of, you know. I think that I would probably play the Voidwalker. I think Voidwalker is a pretty oh, I should play the Prelate on. Oh, if I play Prelate on 2, then I can't. Ending on 2 mana. Yeah, I feel like the Voidwalkers are good, but I would like at least like be somewhat hesitant. Maybe I should just prelate on 1, and then like this stops Flusterstorm. This stops them from surveilling at all. Because I've got 2 drops in my deck as well, and I feel like they've already used 3 iterations, and wait, why is there only 1 counterspell in the yard? Must be missing something. I'll just name one. Day 13 months, thank you so much. I'll do my best to keep up the good work. Let's see. Then you're also playing discard spell. I feel like I would maybe just leave the discard spells at home. I'd kind of like to see Blood Chief's Thirst too. Blood Chief's Thirst gives you like more 1-mana answers too. Chase the Mind Sculptor. Oh my gosh. Hold on, sorry. That gives you more 1-mana answers to Ragavan, gives you answers to Teferi Time Raveler. I feel like I would just leave the discard spells at home. You have so many counter spells. I play 4 Snapcaster too. I also probably play 20 lands. I wouldn't play Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Sideboard looks pretty good. I think you've got too much artifact hate though. I'd probably play Dress Down over Hurkyl's Recall. They only have 19 cards in their library. I guess that's probably enough. Big draw step. I mean, we are just 1 land away from we're just 1 land away from equipping the Kaldra. Real weird game. Which other rogue would I play over? I would play the Voidwalker. I just wanted to like acknowledge the way they're pressing on me. I don't like this. Lands are good for me and spells are good for me here. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not saying that I definitely would play something over Voidwalker. I'm just saying that like there is some tension there, right? So they put a card on top. Yeah, they put Mistgate on top. Now I just get to equip the Kaldra. I don't know. 3 mana. Prismatic command to kill my Stoneforge Mystic, kill my Batterskull. Wow. It's pretty good. They plus again. Then they play their 4th iteration. So like remove Thoughtseize Inquisition, add in Blood Chief's Thirst, upgrade to 4 Snap, 2 Dress Down. Yeah, that's what I'd recommend. You can also consider, I think the first, oh, you're playing Luris, so you don't want to play Murktide Regent, never mind. Never mind. Also play Dark Confidant. It's probably fine. So I'm going to equip onto the Sanctum Prelate so that they have to chump block to save their Jace. They should attack here. They definitely missed. They should have attacked 100% there. Because, like, yeah, like, even if I draw something sick like Typhoon. Oh my gosh. That would have been, like, the most embarrassing misclick I made today. Not the most embarrassing this week, though. Yeah, but now they have to chump block, and then Jace goes to 1 loyalty. The Typhoon's a really big problem. I think we're going to win this, but this game was way closer than I thought it would be. Can they win in time? Yeah, they have 11 minutes on the clock is enough to win an entire match. They have plenty of time on their clock. Most embarrassing of the week? I guess this wasn't like... Maybe embarrassing wasn't the right word, but this was like the worst feeling one. I don't know, was it? Maybe this wasn't even a misclick, but Magic Online lagged as I was casting a Prismatic Ending off Ragavan in the PTQ. I was 2-0 in the PTQ, and then it untapped my Overgrown Tomb after I tapped it because of lag. It didn't register the click, so I tapped the Overgrown Tomb. I clicked the Treasure for White. It untaps it, and then I lose the game. Yes, what Chalice countered the casting of Fluster Storm, but didn't counter the copies. Alright, let's submit this. Favorite foods, cuisine? I don't know. I can't think of anything funny, so I really like sushi and steak. And kind of, you know, they're very, very good foods. Kind of basic answers, I guess. You don't think of it for 4 months? Turn 1 monkey. Usually you do have to block Sentinel on monkey. Let's see what we draw though. Be bad if they have land, burn spell, which I guess isn't even that hard for them to have, right? Not a very good draw. Alright, so we do get to draw a card. It's just in Mistgate though. They've kept a one land Ragavan hand, maybe. Not a very good hit for them. Wait, they could have paid? Why does nobody like to pay for Esper Sentinel? I don't understand. I guess they think they need Counterspell it, maybe. I don't know. Just nobody likes to pay for Sentinel today. Easy to forget Sentinel. Is it? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, we're getting hit by Ragavan, so I don't feel great about our spot. Do you think Murktide would be more well designed if it still had delve but got bigger the more you pay for it instead of delving? I mean, it would be unplayable if like it got bigger by more like actual mana you spent instead of delve. It's not why delve cards are good. Okay, so I probably have to. I don't think I can play the Teferi here. I need to wait. Teferi's not even that good against the monkey, I guess. They have so much mana. Why rip over Sanctifier? Like largely this matchup. It's also like Rip is way better against Living End, but like Rip is way better against Murktide. Okay, they can hardcast Kaldra. Are they going to? Probably not, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't feel like our draws are going to really win this game, but I think I have to cast this Counterspell. They just have so much more mana. Scours me, mills over Sentinel Fountain. Exiles the second Fountain. So I actually don't have very many fetchables left. I have one more Fountain, one Stevens. Don't have another island. 3 mana, 4 mana, 5. They're gonna cast. Okay, so they're gonna cast Murktide. So maybe Batterskull gets us out of this. They have 2 cards. Force of Negation is the best draw. Archmage's Charm. So I can steal Ragavan and hold up Counterspell, which is better than Spell Pierce here. I think I'm going to do that. We got some time against this Murktide, I think. And this also lets me play Batterskull with Counterspell up next turn if I get to hit with Ragavan. Thank you. Get to this in a second. General 4-color mid-range, cool. This looks like the last list I played, so you're just asking for an update. And, okay, this is my stream decker. I mean, I've been thinking about the deck. I'm not sure exactly how I'd update it at the moment. I think I'm supposed to counterspell this. They steal it back. Okay, I'm glad they used the charm on that, though, not the germ. I can't really pay for Spell Pierce here because I have to fetch and shock. But pretending like I can, I guess, is something. Yeah, so I mean, I've been trying to build this deck again with like Faithful Mending and potentially Can't Stay Away. Ah, dang it. Alright, keep this. For one deck bet. It's a little late. I do want to do more predictions, so we'll do a prediction for next league 4-1 or better. Yeah. And we'll get it going for a little bit. Favorite misplay of all time? One time I, on stream, cast Time Warp targeting my opponent, playing this Gifts and Given deck. Like, I top decked Time Warp for the win. This is reminding me of a different story, too. But I top decked Time Warp for the win, and I just, like... I just targeted them. I'm gonna get this in case they're playing Charm. 4-2 or better? Okay, let's, can we get maybe a mod to fix that? Oops. I guess that's the new misclick. Alright, so Teamer Wreck probably. Oh yeah, the kick Skyclaves for the lose is pretty funny. Yeah, it's okay. We can just delete the prediction to make a new one. We got plenty of time. Oh, it's Rhinos. So I think I'd rather steal a token here than counter. Especially if this Teferi resolves, which it probably won't, right? But I think I'm probably supposed to jam it here. Yeah, they have the Force. Play the same deck next week? I think so, yeah. I think so. Force pitching Borrower. And then I think I'll just go Solitude there, Rhino. Attack for 4. New to Modern, wondering if deck is playing red, is Ragavan an auto-include? No, my opponent's deck is playing red. There's no Ragavan. There is a decent number of decks that play red and don't play Ragavan. On top lane would be really nice to put in a Batterskull and hold up Counterspell. Take what we can get. Yeah, I mean, obviously most red decks do, but not every red deck. Yeah, Phoenix doesn't play it. I mean, Phoenix is, I think, should be on the backswing a little bit. I've been liking it again. Did you just lose all your points? You shouldn't have. Maybe refresh. I think it should have been refund instead of payout. You got room in the queue for playing someone's brew? Not your brew, Mickey. Not your brew. And I also haven't been doing Dota decks again lately. Whenever I'm to live total control, I got kind of bored of it. I mean, other people have been playing. I think we accomplished our mission of, like, Burn players have finally started to play Luris. It is now more common to see Luris and Burn than not. I went all in. I'm missing 5. Can I have some? I'm not sure if this is real or not. I think I have to Batterskull here. I think I'm supposed to eat these guys. Brutal. Probably dead. Oh, that's a good one. Take 10 go to 4, 8 go to 6. Go to 4. They're all holding up something. I guess it's the Borrower. Oh, is it another Cascade? Oh, they're just main phasing the Borrower. Okay. It's pretty good. Probably dead to that. I'm not playing Devoted Druid, Mickey. There's no chance. 0% chance. And I recommend that you don't either for Vegas. I really recommend that you don't either. What are thoughts on 5-color humans? It's a little underplayed. I think that humans lists need to be main decking Sentinel. Sentinel is really, really good and good in their deck, especially because they can pump it with Thalia's Lieutenant. But I haven't like spent the time to really put a list together, and I also haven't been playing. I haven't been playing much of the deck either, so I'm not sure exactly how I would build the deck. I just know like I have like these opinions. All right, I think this is my sideboard plan. I think this matchup's pretty good post board. Gotta sing the name of the next card drawn. Okay, I do need to get some water, so I'll go, you know, wet the whistle and clear the pipes. Back in time for the, I like chugged the water because I wanted to get back, you know, before sideboarding was over, and I spilled water on my shirt. And it seems like that was maybe a misplay, huh? Maybe a misplay. I know that I'll be playing in the sealed event afterwards. Yeah, you'll definitely be playing in the sealed event afterwards, Mickey, if you played Devoted Druid in the main event. You'll definitely be playing in whatever the sealed event is. But I think I'm gonna be playing poker, I think, if I scrub out of the main event. Is Maul really better than Ending? I think Maul's decent. It like blocks the. I think Maul's pretty good. Like in this matchup, putting it on a Kaldra or Batterskull, something I'm interested in. It's also a white card for Solitude. Been having success with banned humans with Chalice and Sentinel. Interesting. Yeah, Chalice is interesting in humans. Missing Sentinel's paper collection. Trying to change it for S-Newts. Any other suggestions for replacements? So I actually put this in the like notification title this morning that this deck is really an Esper Sentinel deck featuring Stoneforge Mystic. Obviously, like, if you just want to play blue-white Stoneblade, that's fine. I would recommend playing main deck Shark Typhoon over Sentinel if you're looking to replace it, but like Sentinel, in my opinion, is like the reason to play this deck. Sentinel is just so freaking good. So I'd recommend picking him up if you want the archetype. 2 extra days before after. Cool. I think we're staying 1 day extra after Mickey, so we can you know, hang out. I wanted to do 2 extra days, but Esther can't miss her master's degree program. So we're going to stay 1 extra. Tried Esper Enemy yesterday Modern instead of Team Iraq. Big mistake, everyone had Surgical. Yeah, that deck definitely hinges on how much Graveyard Hate people are playing. And I feel like Graveyard Hate can be like a little more common in paper metagames than in Magic Online, because people are like, okay, I'll just play some Graveyard Hate, I'll play some Burn Hate, and then I'll put, you know, a Veil of Summer in my sideboard and we're good to go. You didn't want to play something combo-like, or Yawgmoth, Heliod, or Storm viable. Yawgmoth is really good. I wouldn't necessarily recommend Heliod or Storm at the moment. Is Vegas going in textbook as a business trip? I'm not planning on it, actually. Because it's like... Right, like, I really don't think it is, because I'm not going to be... Like, Channel Fireball hasn't asked me to... like do anything for them, and I'd rather just like go and play and hang out with people and like spend time with Esther, and like I'm like taking time off the stream, and it's, you know, like it's definitely better EV for me to be streaming instead of going to Vegas. So I don't think I'm writing it off. I'm marketing my channel. I mean, I'm sure I could write it off, but it doesn't feel like I should. Deck Tech but not a Deck Tech. Oh, I saw this. I didn't like it very much. I don't know why you're playing like that over Jund Saga if you want to be like a mid-range Saga deck. You're a pro player if you go play right off. Well, maybe I'll consider it. How's that? I'll consider it. At the very like I also you know. I also bought Esther's ticket, and so I probably shouldn't write that one off. My emotional support for the tournament. What a Druid Heliod deck? Just jumble those 2 combos together. Mickey, I'm telling you, like, those combos are like really, really fragile and inefficient right now. Would really not recommend. So they're leaving up Dispute here. They're leaving up Dispute for the Counterspell, we counter on the Prismatic commands, so they let us draw, but we just get the Dovin's Veto. So good there. We're doing your taxes last year. That's a pretty big brain play. Just do them the year before. Genius. Okay, we'd like to draw a land. We do also think that my opponent has Dispute here. Okay, I'll go Explosives, crack Explosives. If this resolves, then play Chalice. It's better to play the crack the Explosives before playing the Chalice here. Did I sing? I totally forgot to sing. Okay, we'll sing the next one. I totally forgot it was at a sing redemption. That's the danger of redeeming it like in between rounds. I went to go drink some water and I came back. I totally forgot. Okay, headphone users, turn your audio down. I'm gonna sing the next card. Good to hear, Shako. I appreciate you, dude. Solitude! A little scuffed, but the effort was there. Nobody complained about your ears. You had fair, and, you know, quick warning. I have no sympathy for anybody who puts headphones on. Headphone users always have been and always will be my mortal enemies. I guess I don't want to counterspell into the dispute. It's fine, yeah. Oh, I would draw a card, though. Yeah, I probably should have counterspelled. Alright, let's just trade Charm for Dispute. It's not getting too much better. We need to use our mana, too, pretty badly. Okay, I guess they don't have it. I don't know, dude. Your guess is as good as mine. Feels kind of risky to play this Teferi, right? 5 cards in hand. Yeah, let's take a like, just discard the Kaldra here. Have like the pathway. I think the first one's pretty good. We'll just reckon there's a Saga reasonable combo. I'm not that big a fan of it. It's like it is really slow, and then it's like when your big payoff is making 1 extra token. You only make 1 extra token with the Wilderness Reckon Saga, and which is nice to have. Like, obviously, I wouldn't turn down a free construct, but it's really not like that sick of a combo. You only end up with 1 extra token. So we're sliding some Esper Sentinels into Mentor. Maybe, yeah. Maybe. I'm not sure exactly how to fit them in. I do want to play some more Esper Mentor at some point. I like that deck. One extra token per rec. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you have multiple Redless Reclamations, yeah. But you're probably winning the game. I don't know. Yeah, 1 extra token per Wilderness Reclamation. Which I feel like is just not that sick, you know. Sounds kind of weird. I think I'm gonna counter that. We have just so much to do with our mana here that I want to double spell this turn cycle pretty badly. I also think I'm gonna Stoneforge Mystic here, where it's like I think pretty easy for them to beat this counterspell if they have something. But if I just get Batterskull or sort of Feast and Famine could be good too. Yeah, the pro green on the Rhinos is kind of nice. Kind of nice with the Solitude. We bounce the Chalice. So if they have double Cascader, how does that work out for us? Probably not great. Probably not that well. The Borrower is also a problem. Okay. So I guess I'm going to equip Feast and Famine onto Sentinel with Counterspell up. What do we feel like their hand is? Just like interaction? Or like counterspells. Yeah, in the Reckless I've been playing too, like the colorless land is a big cost with like your sagas and stuff. Okay, so I have to pay 3 here. They don't pay 3. Okay, there's a dispute. So Sentinel gets bounced. Then they play a Borrower. We Solitude a Borrower, pitching a Sentinel, I think. It's gonna be close. Two cards. Main phase the Borrower. Fury would be a disaster. Solitude's a good draw. Okay, I'm gonna, I think, just go Sentinel first, then Teferi, then equip. Alright, can't pay. I guess we're punished for playing the Sentinel first. If this equip happens, I'm feeling pretty good though. I think. I can't explosives on 3. Do I want to just like maul the Skyclaves, the Sentinel, and then equip the Feast and Famine onto the Sentinel, or just Solitude? Probably just Solitude. Then we lose to Fire Ice or Bonecrusher Giant, or Prismatic Command off the top. But we probably we beat like most other things. Hander, thank you for the 8 months. When I EE on 3, I just said this, but I can't. I don't have 3 colors here. Didn't have our Steam vents. And it was, I mean, blowing up the sword is less of a concern, with them having no cards to play around the top deck burn spell. I'm gonna mulligan this. We have a sideboard card, but we also have 2 equipment. Let's keep this one. I think I'll put back the Mystic, actually. It's kind of hard to tap out on turn 2 on the draw in this matchup for Mystic. What's the opinion for Sword of Fire Ice in the deck in the format right now? I'm not that into it, as you can probably infer by me not having it in the deck. I'm not going to crack my fetch land so that I do not lose to Fire Ice and to Shareless Agent. Yeah, I'm not that into Sword of Fire Ice right now. I guess they can potentially just actually ice my island though. I'll counterspell the ice, I think. Not something like I love doing, but I think we just like have to trade 1 for 1 instead of not getting to use our mana here. I know counterspelling ice feels really odd. But obviously if they don't have it, it's better for us. Okay, not gonna just slam Teferi here. So we can upkeep Steal a Rhino, and this plays around Force of Negation because they have no blue mana, or so they don't have 2 blue mana. Or we can just counterspell now to play around Mystical Dispute, but I feel like Force of Negation is the more likely of the 2 cards here. I'm gonna get basic island here. They could obviously have both too. Okay. Even for Veil. So Veil Summer is really unlikely in the Violent Outburst Shardless Agent deck, but I have seen Spell Pierce out of Rhinos before. You ever have to check what the revealed cards are? You know, I'm not in the habit of doing that. I should be, though. Okay. Man, Force feels so likely here. The thing is, they have a Footfalls ticking down, so I need to resolve this Teferi so that it stops their footfalls from resolving this turn. Okay, that's a good draw too. I know that playing this as a white source doesn't let me have double counterspell up next turn, but it does let me hardcast Solitude, which might be more important. And they didn't have Force, so they suspend another footfalls, and that's the fourth one, right? Yeah, that's the fourth one. So let me go to main phase, steal this, where they don't have Dispute up, and they would have had to just draw Force. Yeah, and so, I mean, you know, that one's still on suspend, but we have the Chalice in play. It's not, and we have Counterspell, so, you know, getting to this point in the game is usually pretty good for you, where they just, like, they have no more Rhinos, their top decks are on average, like, a lot worse than yours. I've never seen this. Some spicy tech. I'm gonna main phase the Solitude here. I don't need to worry about Rhinos this turn. If I had drawn Chalice first instead of Teferi, would I still have cast Teferi? I would have cast the Chalice first to see what happens, and then gone from there, probably. If they don't force the Chalice, then I'd probably play the Teferi. Maybe not. Maybe I steal a Rhino that turn. Okay, that's pretty good. This has two counters, but we can go Teferi with Counterspell up, and then this will stop the Rhino suspend. Oh, tech against Kaldra? I think, is that really it? Oh, it kills Teferi too. Okay, they concede. Alright, so we 4-1 this league. Remember, the prediction was for the next league, not this one. Well, beat Control, Murktide, Burn, lost to Murktide, and then beat Rhinos. So, like, very, you know, very competitive league. Especially compared to a lot of the leagues we've been seeing recently. But I'm gonna run it back at least one more league of this.